Can you turn me up a little bit? Hey, Dave. Blake Sloan this week. All kind of crazy stuff going on. We got some great info in. We have the brand new micro market numbers in. We'll talk about what's happening in your neighborhood. We have some interesting numbers. Some are down double digits, some are up double digits, and that's both last month and also year to date. So we'll look at how does your area stack up against it's on the Grand Strand. And we're very, very interesting. We'll talk about that. Also, some big news, interest rates. Just had some huge news last week, hit a new high interest rates. And then we had some great news regarding inflation. Rates went back down a little bit, but we'll talk about how long is that inflation going to be how long is that interest rate going to be down for, because they are predicted to go back up. And so we'll talk about that overall. We also have some stuff we had for last week's show, just didn't have a chance to get to on why right now is really a sweet spot for home sellers. And it has to do with inventory and seasonality and kind of what's happening overall. And we also had that really good article in detail that we talked about regarding Airbnbs. And so we'll talk about the Airbnb stuff going on this week, hopefully if we have time. Then next week, we'll talk about that and some of the things we've seen with insurance. It's kind of a big concern lately where a lot of insurance costs have skyrocketed, both for homes and also for condos. We had a client with a condo. Their HOA went up almost $1,000 a month just in the last year and a half. And so it went from, I think, about 500 to 700, and then went from 700 to 1,500 here recently. And so that's something to watch out for. And we'll talk about that. Maybe have one of our insurance experts on. I'll kind of give you some tips and tricks too. Hopefully that'll be next week's show. Just talk about, hey, look, here's how you kind of shop around, get some better deals and better rates, and specifically through a couple of different vendors that can shop all the different ones overall with it. Also, our team has some amazing success stories. Our team's in knocking out the park, doubling down with energy, with intensity during the summer market, because we have so many people coming in town right now. So even though rates have jumped up a little bit, they're back down below 7 right now. People are still in town buying right now because they've been stalking and planning and having all types of favorite properties they've been looking at for months, and now they're buy them. And so, as usual, we have one main goal on this show, and that show is to keep you updated, give you some value, and help you really kind of just be in the know of what's happening, anything and everything real estate related here on the Grand Strand, so that you can make better decisions for your largest assets, which for most people is real estate. If you ever want to come back and listen in these shows, just go back and check. We stream them online. You can go check them out on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio. You can also go on Facebook, type my name in, Blake Sloan or Sloan Realty Group. We have those. We also put those in an audio format via podcast. Search for Blake Sloan Radio on that. But bottom line, a lot of great stuff on today's show. Dave, can you turn me up a little bit? That's better. Thank you. Yes, and like I mentioned, we've been doing the show 14 plus years now, and I just noticed there's big problems over and over and over after doing the show in the early years. And I'm like, man, no matter what we say, talking about all this cool stuff, people tend to make the same mistake. And so I made a promise a long time ago to myself. That's really the whole DNA, the whole reason why we do a show. And that show is to really keep people from making huge mistakes for largest asset. And the mistake they make is they make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same, and it could not be any further from the truth. Just like any waiter, any waitress, right? That'd be like saying all waiters and waitresses are the same. All doctors and lawyers are the same. The bottom line is they're not, right? You're talking about doctors, that's life and death. You're talking about with the lawyers, right? That's your freedom or even lots of money based on what the outcome is. And so the last thing you want if you're charged with a crime you did not commit was just a part-time attorney who someone referred you to who's only tried a few cases. But for some reason, when it comes to real estate and your largest assets, people just go with anyone, everyone, or they pick it with the wrong variables. They want to know who's the cheapest and who's the nicest and who did this and that. They don't really understand how to pick the right agent. But the bottom line is it's gambling with your largest assets. And so here's the deal. The single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. And that thing is the agent that you choose, period. I made a promise to talk about that on every show, every week, because it's that important. And no matter what else I say, nothing else matters until you really understand that, internalize that, especially in the marketplace of what's happening right now. Back when there was a frenzy 12 to 18 months ago, everyone could put a for sale sign, take some photos on their cell phone, and get property sold. But what was happening, people were leaving $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. And what's happening more so now is those properties are sitting on the market longer. They're not getting sold, or then reduce the price, sometimes too much, and end up leaving their hard-earned equity on the table. And so people will spend 15 to 20 years building their hard-earned equity, only 15 minutes actually picking real estate agent. And so you want to make sure you understand the ins and outs. And one of the questions we ask a lot of clients we sit down with, hey, what's the variables that you're using to pick a real estate agent? And you'd be surprised that 99 out of 100 have absolutely no clue. They have no clue. They want to know who's the cheapest, or what they've done, or did you sell something in my neighborhood, and things that don't have any really true differentiation or any true change of the outcome based on this question. And so here's the bottom line. When you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one of those is handled correctly, what it does is puts money in your pocket, the property gets sold. Everything's executed like it should be, right? If anything's not handled correctly, if any of those variables, of 118 of them, aka the ball gets dropped, and that could be anything from price strategy, the agent's picture quality, the order of the photos. Does your agent actually answer the telephone when somebody calls them? Do they have a for sale sign? What do they do to a web lead when a web lead comes in online? How long does it take them to respond? All these things make or break the home sale. And what the problem is, you have one single agent who's trying to juggle all those balls, and it just does not work. It's impossible for one person to juggle all those balls on one listing. And you compound that because most agents, guess what they have? Multiple listings out there, 4, 5, 6, 10 listings at a time with 118 variables on each of those. And it's no wonder they're not calling you back, and that the execution is not getting done like you thought it would, or like they promised it would. And so that's like having the same person at McDonald's run the front register, the drive-thru, and the French fries at the same time, and wondering why the food doesn't taste good. It's the same exact scenario you're seeing with real estate agents, but people make this same mistake over and over and over and over again. It's an old school thinking, and that way worked back in the early 80s, late 70s. But in today's time, there's so many variables, so many nuances, so many types of technology and different ways to market that it has to be handled correctly. And so what I did is say, look, there's got to be a better way, right? Got in the business in January 2005, grew up in the business, entire family sold real estate, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, other aunt and uncle. And so I grew up going into real estate offices as a kid and just got into real estate, went to a big box store, and realized that the model was very, very, very broken. And so you had everybody who was all these individuals at one big box store. I didn't care about them. They didn't care about me. In essence, I would get a new listing. They would not want to help me sell my listing. They were mad I got a listing instead of them. And so they would not show it. There was no alignment within the business model. And so what I did is say, how do we flip this business model upside down and create a team where everyone's in alignment and everyone's a specialist at what they do? Whereas when I was at the big box store, we were all just generalists, trying to do anything and everything ourselves. And so what happens is you have one agent trying to juggle all the balls on multiple listings. It just doesn't work. And so what happens is they get your listing, they put it into MLS, and they sit back and pray that someone else brings a buyer. Then they split the commission in half. They're okay with that. The problem is most consumers are unhappy with the process. They leave a lot of money on the table. And so what I did is we sought out and designed the system, like Dave mentioned, called the Guaranteed Sold System. It's the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it. We trademarked it. We do license it to other parts of the country, but it's exclusive to us here on the Grand Strand because it works, and it's backed up by two main things. Number one, a team of people. We have 35 plus buyers agents, 35 plus agents in our team. We have inside sales. We have outside sales. We have an administrative team, full-time photographer, full-time videographer, closing coordinators. We have a media design person. All these things are all in alignment so we can execute the highest level, but everything gets done the same way every single time. And what it does is it allows us to get more exposure for our clients and sell the property faster and for more money. And so if you want to know how it works, reach out to us, call us. It'll blow your mind anytime you sit down and see that. And also, overall, on the buyer side, it's a lot different on the buyer side, especially right now in a low inventory market. And the last thing you want is some part-time agent or some agent who only sells one home every quarter. The average agent in our marketplace sells one home every quarter, 4 per year, right? And so I would never want somebody to represent me in court that did 4 per year. I want somebody who's very, very good at what they do. I want somebody who's an expert at what they do, and somebody who sells properties every single day. And so we designed this system called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, just distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as a home inspection to get you to that closing table successfully. But both of those are designed to do one thing only. And that thing is to give you a competitive advantage in the marketplace. If you know more, want to know more that works, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime.
Here, the real estate market is constantly changing. Now, here to give us more insight into this is my friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, I know certain programs make it a lot easier for the seller. Which ones do you offer?
Hey, Sean. In addition to our traditional program that sells your home for top dollar, we have an instant offer, a multi-offer, and a guaranteed offer program. I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars who are looking to buy homes in the Grand Strand right now.
And what kind of return can you expect from them?
Here's what I'll say. Every seller's needs are different. Some need maximum convenience, and we deliver that every single time. Some need the most amount of money, and we have a program for that as well. We have a trademark program that gets settlers up to 5 to 10% more money than traditional industry methods.
All right, great insight, and thank you for this update. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at BlakeSloan.com. That's BlakeSloan.com. And consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbin. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach Realtors. We offer several options of home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers that time crunch, you can read the sellers on a certain date, take after a help on the internet.
That's great. And if the seller has a bid for it, John?
Use our free marketing plan to sell to the highest price.
Work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot market alert. We got brand new just market update, all kind of stuff going on. We'll talk about two different things here. We talked about earlier, we're going to dig into the micro market. That's the one I get the most feedback from, the one that people ask the most questions about because it really pertains to your area. And if you notice along the Grand Strand, there's a lot of different areas, a lot of different nuances based on where it's at and price strategies. And also some have sales that are up double digits. Some have sales that are down double digits. And a lot of that has to do with just inventory, demand, pricing, affordability, and you kind of always see that rotate around. And that's one of the things we track. And so we track two main numbers here in addition to the micro market, the macro market. Macro market's everything at once. We'll kind of review that really quick. We also look at how many properties go under contract in every 7-day period. We talk about every week's show. Last week's show, there's 502 properties went under contract the previous 7 days. This week, 538. So a significant increase there, which is good. Last week's show, only 187,870,000 under contract the last 7 days. This 7 days, 194,842,000. So significant jump there. And it had to do with rates jumping back down. Obviously, there's a little bit of slowdown for the July 4th weekend, but now we're seeing that kind of pump back in. And so we like to look at those type numbers because that helps me forecast what the close deal is going to be like 30 to 60 days from now. And so if you use the most data like a lot of people use, most average realtors just kind of look at the overall market numbers. And those are what we call rear view mirror numbers. And those are one that just closed last month. The problem is they closed last month. They went under contract 36 days prior to that. So I want to keep you in the know. We use this for our clients. We show, hey, look, here's our real-time pulse of what's happening. And it allows us to push a little bit harder sometimes so we can get more money for our clients. And so the last 7 days, there's 13 properties over $1 million. Last week's show, guess what? The same exact thing, 13 properties over $1 million. This week, though, there's 83 properties over 500,000 that went under contract, where last week's show there was only 68. And so one thing we did see, though, inventory dropped pretty significantly as there was a kind of a run, right, on inventory. We saw sales increase from 502 to 538. At the same time, we saw inventory go down. So last week's show, there were 844 properties that were active in Horry County that are single-family homes. I do that because it's easiest to track, right? It's resale homes is what most people really inquire about, but it allows us to keep pulse. There's a lot of nuances like new construction. The problem there, a lot of those companies don't report all their inventory. And then also there's condos, but there's different types of condos, condotels, townhouses. There's, basically studios. There's oceanfront kind of hotel room type things. So it's easiest kind of keep pulse. Hey, look what's happening. Inventory is down from 844 last week down to 830 this week. And so that means it's kind of heating up. And as we talked about, it's seasonality where a lot of people are coming in town right now to combine their vacation along with their home search and their purchase overall with that. Looking at last month's numbers that close, overall rear view mirror numbers just for the macro market, which is the entire Grand Strand, single family sales down 20.1% year over year. And so if you looked at June of 2023, 529 houses sold versus June of last year, there are 662 properties sold. If you look at median sales price, up 4.1% year over year, which is good right now at $385,000. That's also a new record. And so single family resale homes, a new record at $385,000, which is great news. If you look at average sale prices, bounced around the last couple months. Right now it's at $492,000, down slightly from the peak of April this year when it hit a new high at $496,000. So average sale price right now, $492,000, which is awesome. One thing that's helping this happen is low inventory. Inventory is still very, very low. Right now it's at 2.9 months. It was hovering right around 2.7 months, really for almost most of this year. And so the reality is we're seeing a little bit more inventory, but not much. We're still in a super seller's market, and that's why you're seeing it help protect price. And that's how you're seeing prices continue to climb year over year, even though sales are down 20%. And that just comes down to a lot of sellers who locked in at 2 and 3% interest rates are staying put. And so we are seeing a lot of buyers want to buy. Even though it's down 20%, it's still a lot more historically than we've seen previous years, especially pre-COVID overall. And so that's something interesting. Condos, pretty much very similar. Sales down 11.5%. Sorry, condo sales last month down 14.5%. Prices up 3.6 for average sale price, 282,613, and median price up 1.7% right now at 239,000 even. And also inventory is still very, very, very low at 3.1 months of inventory. Both those in what we call a super seller's market. Anything less than 6 months, like I mentioned, means the seller has the advantage. And so that's something you want to think about overall. Really quick, I'm going to run through, hit a couple key numbers here. Just look at the micro market. This is like what's happening per zip code. And you'll see there's a big difference. Let's look at two numbers. Look at year to date. And we'll also look at last month. And so if I talk about last month, we're talking about June because it closed at the end of June. And we'll compare June of this year versus June of last year. And so June last month, closed sales down 12.5% in Myrtle Beach, which is 29577, 29572. Year to date, sales down 10.1%. And I like to look at Myrtle Beach as kind of the driver. It's kind of the middle. It's what you kind of look to see kind of leads the pack and what happens. You usually see North Myrtle Beach and Surfside follow behind that. But it's interesting to see sales down year to date, also last month down 12.5%. The good news, though, median price up 4.3% last month at $485,000. Year to date, though, prices are up 14.9%, which is awesome at $46,940. Condo sales last month in Myrtle Beach down 28.8%. Year to date, condo sales in Myrtle Beach down 29.5%. Prices, though, did slip a little bit last month, down 1.1%. So $235 last year, $233. $499 this year, so not very much. But year to date, condo prices are up. Myrtle Beach up 4.7% at $225,000. Into North Myrtle Beach, sales last month were up 8.0%. Year to date, though, they're down 15.1%. Prices down both year to date and also monthly in North Myrtle. They see that kind of level, and it also has to do with just kind of the types of inventory. There's some near the ocean, there's some more inland, and so that you want to break down per neighborhood. But median price down 8.5% last month at $471,000. Look at year to date, prices down 6.7% from $549 down to $512. Interesting enough there. Overall, if you look at Little River, overall for single families, closed sales last month down 11.6%. Year to date, closed sales down 13.6%. And if you look at median price, year to date, it's up 4.5% at $392,000. It's also up last month, 3.0% at $402,000. Into Loris and Longs, pretty much flat. So last year in June, there's 95 sales. This year, 92 sales. So down 3%, but pretty close to where it was. Year to date, though, sales are down 13.2%. Prices, though, up year to date, which is 5.7% increase from 285 up to 301. So we're still seeing a lot of home sellers have a lot more equity than they think they do, which is great news. Conway, this is an interesting number. In June, sales are down 44%. I had to kind of double check that earlier when I was prepping for the show. Last June, there's 252 properties sold. This June, only 140. And the interesting part is inventory is actually up in Conway year over year up 40%. And so some has to do with pricing. Some people just got priced out the market there. Prices are up pretty significantly. They're up year to date. They're up 4.8%. Right now, the median price for Conway is $295,000. And what's interesting is last June, there was only 320 houses for sale. Right now, there's 448. And with that, you saw 44% less houses go basically close last month. And so very, very interesting number. I'll kind of dig into that maybe for next week's show. We'll look at a little bit more into Aner. Aner jumped from 6 sales last year in June to 11 this year. Year-to-date sales down 18.7%. Price is pretty much flat. Year-to-date they're up 0.9%. So from 273,600 to 276,000 overall. Into Carolina Forest. Carolina Forest is rock and rolling. Last month, sales in Carolina Forest, look at June last year versus June this year, up 26.7%. Year-to-date sales, one of the few places seeing up monthly and year-to-date, is up 12.3%, which is awesome. Price is pretty flat, though. It's interesting. Up year-to-date, price is down 0.9% from 429 to 425. That also has to do a lot of new construction. I just think there's a lot of new construction in Carolina Forest. We've seen some neighborhoods that were more established, had a lot more custom homes. They had some tract builders go in there and build a little bit more affordable homes, which is kind of skewing prices a little bit. So you definitely want to break that down neighborhood by neighborhood. We have software we develop. They'll take your exact neighborhood, all the homes, analyzes all this type of stuff for you, which is super powerful. We do that for all of our clients. Last June, June, price is down 12.5% overall. Inventory is actually up 7.2% for Carolina Forest. Into Sockasty, sales year to date, pretty much flat. Last year to date, there's 626. This year, 622. So pretty much flat there. Last month, sales on 8.6%. The good news is prices year to date up 2.5% from 321,000 to 329. A lot of extra equity in the pocket there. And Sockasty inventory is also up 34.9%. And so last year in June, there's 149 houses for sale right now. 201 houses in the Surfside where I grew up, the 29575 zip code. Closed sales last month down significantly, down 27.7%. 47 last year, 34 this year. Year to date, sales down 34.2%. The good news is last month prices up 5% from 376 to 395, and year to date prices down 3.6% from 362 to 350. Pretty much kind of flat, though, if you look at different types here. It's very similar to North Myrtle Beach, where some are inland, some are close to the beach, and so you definitely want to break that down per neighborhood. Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet. The good news is sales last month up 3.4%, but year-to-date, sales in Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet's down 25%. Prices up, though, year-to-date, 4.4% from 426,000 this time last year to 445,000, which is great news. And inventory is actually lower. Inventory is down 9.6% there in Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet, which means they need inventory. If you're thinking about selling those areas, a lot of inventory shortage really help you push the price a little bit higher, and you can get somebody who'll pay a premium. In the Pawleys Island, Litchfield, prices were exactly flat last month. So in June of last year, it's 41 sales. June of this year, 41 sales. Year to date, though, down 21.9%. The great news, check this out, the biggest gains we've seen so far, prices up 19.4% in Pawleys and Litchfield, the 29585 zip code. So, for example, last year this time, 525,000 was the overall median price. Right now, 627,000. So a lot of extra equity there. We've seen some big properties sell down there. We've sold a few as well, and so that's a big key there. If you're thinking about selling in that area, there's a lot of demand for the South End right now. In Georgetown, sales up in June 29%. They're down year to date 27%. And year to date, though, prices up 5.3% in Georgetown from 304 up to 321 overall. And so what's driving a lot of this is low inventory. Again, it depends on certain pockets. You want to look at what your neighborhood doing. You want to design your strategy based on how fast you want to sell, how much you want to get. And we always reverse engineer that for our client, knowing that it's kind of a tightrope. You can either sell it faster or get more money for it based on what your goal is. And I'm usually very good at reverse engineering that for our clients. One thing that's driving this right now, interest rates. They were up, they were down. We had a new high this past week. Last week's show, there was 7.22% for a 30-year fix. Right now, after we had some great inflation data come in, 6.87% for a 30-year fix. The great news, we are seeing a lot of rumbling that we'll probably see that jump back up next month once we see some new numbers come out. But 15-year fixed rate right now, 6.28%. A 30-year jumbo, 6.88%. A 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 6.95%. A 30-year FHA, 6.5%, and a 30-year VA right now, 6.49%. So thankful to see all these in the sixes. If you're thinking about making a move, locking your rate, whatever it is, I would definitely do so pretty soon. If you're thinking about selling, use the seasonality of Myrtle Beach here right now. People are still coming in town before rates go back up. Get your house in the market and get top dollar for it, especially if it's investment property, second home, estate sale that you want to cash out at the top. We'll talk about that here in a second in our success story.
WRNN listeners, Blake Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home. Only truth, Blake. Here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of
Yeah, I've actually just about 3.5 to 4 minutes.
Okay. Cool. Just let me know. No commercial at the end. Okay. Thank you.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing that Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot buyer alert. My team and I are working ridiculous amount of home buyers looking to buy here in the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach area from $250,000 to $4.4 million. You're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately at 843-808-SOLD. It's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we've been doing here for 10 plus years is putting our money where our mouth is. I get the question all the time, what makes you different than anybody else? My friend who's an agent, the difference is we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. You see us on TV, see the billboards, you see us everywhere. Here's on the radio. The one thing you don't see, though, is we spend tens of thousands of dollars a month driving traffic online, generating buyers from all over the globe. And so what we do is we create demand for your property before you ever call us. And so we have a software that reverse engineers the active buyers we have to your property. And we have a sales team that backs it up, dialing 16,000 phone calls a week. And that's how we push properties where the average agent's playing golf 3 days a week in their khaki shorts and putting your house on the MLS. We're hustling all day, every day, a team of 40 plus people who are pushing for you. And so right now, active home buyers, we have on our website, 72,933 active home buyers. Again, 72,933 active home buyers from all over. I got Karen from Staten Island right now. I got Billy from St. Paul, Minnesota. I got Barbara from Fort Bragg. I got Nicole from Birmingham, Alabama. We got Morganville, New Jersey, Ackworth, Georgia, Brooklyn, New York, New York, Edgewater, Maryland. So all over. You're thinking about selling, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. We need inventory. Really a couple quick success stories. Corey and Cassie on a vacation home Surfside recently decided they want to sell cash in the top of the market. It's extremely important the process to be quick and smooth, and they wanted top dollar. They weren't here locally. Cassie went online to find a realtor to help them. She saw 800 plus five-star reviews, decided to give us a call. We helped them design a custom plan, shared a guaranteed sold system, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough. Drove within a couple weeks, drove massive traffic, had Corey and Cassie a full price offer on their home. They couldn't believe it. Now Corey and Cassie can move forward to confidence. They're able to cash in at the top, put the most amount of money in their pocket, which is awesome. Also, Nick owned a condo in Barefoot Landing that he'd been using as a vacation home and a rental property for a number of years. He recently bought a new home in Florida, decided no longer want to need a house in Myrtle Beach. It was important the process be smooth and easy since he would not be here locally. Thankfully, he's referred to us by a close friend, contacted us. We designed a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic. In a couple weeks, had Nick a fantastic offer for way more money he thought possible. Now, no one has to worry about a property 600 miles away, but maximum money in his pocket. And so if you want to be the next success story, I have another 2 pages of these, but no time, reach out to me. If you have anybody you come across, friend, relative, aunt, uncle, do me a favor. Say, you got to call my buddy Blake. He's the best. We mentioned a couple weeks ago, we have the #1 real estate team in Myrtle Beach by significant numbers, number 58 in North America. And that's here in little old Myrtle Beach. So if you want to get top dollar service, people who hustle for you and work hard, both on the buyer side, seller side, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime.